Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is an action thriller from South Korea, Korean language English subs, released in the year 2016, directed by Kim-Jee, and this film is called The Age of Shadows. So The Age of Shadows is set during the Japanese occupation of Korea. You've got a band of Korean resistance fighters who are trying to cause Japan grief at every moment. So one of the leaders from the Japanese occupation in Seoul basically assigns this Korean investigator to try and get to the bottom of what these resistance fighters are doing. Now, this investigator used to be on the Korean side, but now he's sworn allegiance to Japan, so he has old contacts that he can really go into. So when he's investigating, he spooks the resistance fighters, and they seek refuge in Shanghai, China. They believe it's too dangerous in Seoul, so they're going to go to China, they're going to regroup, and they're going to come back into the country with a new plan. And that new plan is to smuggle some explosives by train in order to destroy a very important Japanese facility in the capital city. So the Japanese want to stop this before it happens, and the resistance fighters want to do it before they're apprehended. So which side wins in their battle of wits is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on The Age of Shadows. Expectation levels for this film were at an all-time high. I was incredibly excited to see this movie for a few reasons, but the biggest reason is that Kim-Jee was the director. Now, Kim-Jee is the reason why I have a passion for South Korean cinema. I hadn't really been exposed to it too much before I watched The Quiet Family, which is his first film, and I believe it's one of his better films and most underrated movies. That's a movie that had a lot of comedy, had a lot of had a very morbid sort of feel to it, and it was remade by Takashi Miike, the life of the Katajuras. I can't remember the name, but Takashi Miike actually remade that movie into a musical sort of thing. So it shows you how much recognition that film got. So that was the first movie I saw of his, and since then I've absolutely loved this director. He's made films such as A Bittersweet Life, I Saw the Devil, Tale of Two Sisters, numerous films that have really set the standard at an absolute high, and it shows just how brilliant this director is. He went on to make a film in the United States called The Last Stand, which was, that was okay. I didn't hate it as much as a lot of people did, but it was nowhere near his standard back in his home country. So seeing that this is a Korean film and also had the actors Kang-ho, Byung-hun Lee and Yu Gong, I was expecting something that was going to be of a typical Ji Woon-kun standard, and at the end of the film I will say that although I enjoyed it and although it's a very good movie, I couldn't help but feel a little bit disappointment in the fact that it didn't really match the heights that his other films do. So I'll go into that a little bit later, and I'll express why I thought this movie didn't reach those epic proportions. But what I will say is that the movie is very well made. It is typical of South Korea to have a very good production level. The cinematography is absolutely fantastic. This is an era of history that I'm not really familiar with, the Japanese occupation of Korea back in the 20s, and this actually looked authentic, so it had a very interesting feel to the film. It's not an educational movie, it's not trying to be an educational movie, but it's set during a period that I wasn't that familiar with, so I was just looking at all of the setting, and I thought, okay, this looks like I'm actually being sucked into a time machine, and I'm actually seeing something that was actually based in this time era. So this is something that South Koreans are known for, in that they have a lot of attention to detail as far as visuals are concerned. So you've got a very, very suspenseful atmosphere, and I think that suspenseful atmosphere is down to Kang-ho So's character. Kang-ho Song plays this Korean investigator who's working for the Japanese, and you can feel a conflict of interest within his character. There's a lot of complexity to him, and as he unfolds, it creates a suspense because you don't know if he's going to go back to his homeland or if he's going to stay, basically loyal to his newfound fight, which is Japan. He's basically given up and saying that Korea have lost the war. You can't get rid of the Japanese occupation, so why try? And there's constant questions from other characters saying that this is your homeland, this is your heart, fight with where your heart is. And so you can feel that conflicting sort of interest within this character and the inner torment of this character. And I thought Kang-ho Song played him to absolute perfection. He was a fascinating character, and the way that, as I said, he transforms, it creates the very suspenseful moments, and it makes those suspenseful set pieces even better. So Kim-Jee has done a fantastic job with this character in actually setting a standard where you don't know where his loyalties lie. And there's a lot of conflict of interest within the film. You've got the Japanese side who are trying to stop the Koreans, but they're also fighting amongst themselves, and likewise with the Koreans. So you don't know who's going to betray who, you don't know what's going to happen, and so that leaves a lot in the air. It leaves a lot of mystery, and that mystery really captivates you, and it intrigues you to a level where I thought that I was on the edge of my seat more than one occasion. So that's something I really liked. I thought the set pieces were fantastic. fantastic, especially a set piece in a train that I thought had unbearable suspense levels to it. And this is just something that Kim-Jee does to absolute perfection. He's done it in a lot of his other films, especially I Saw the Devil. There were numerous scenes in that film that really had me on the edge of my seat, and he really knows how to keep you on that edge. And so that was something that was very, very good. The supporting cast, I do have a problem with the supporting cast that I'll go into a little bit later, but the acting is all very well, as you would expect from a cast of this very high standard. And you've also got a very good soundtrack that really mixes in with the experience, and it just captures you and it gets you into the mood, and it has that very entertaining value, but it also has a value that actually makes you think as well. And so it's a character-based film, and I thought that Kang-ho Song's character really does carry the film forward. It goes for 2 hours, but it never feels boring. I think Kim-Jee really knows how to actually make an epic film, and I really thought he nailed it as far as continuity is concerned. It's a very violent movie as well, so be prepared for that. There's a lot of bloodshed. It's not a very brutal film, but it was a little bit more brutal than I thought it would be, so it's going to cater for the more hardened action/thriller fan. So, as I said, it's a very, very good film, but unfortunately the biggest problem I had with the movie is that Kang-ho Song's character is so good, but he doesn't really have anyone else to play off. You got Byung-hun Lee, who I thought was very misused. He was the leader of this resistance. He's not in the film as much as I really wanted him to be, and as much as he really needed to be, considering how good an actor he is. I just thought his character was very empty, and I didn't really get anything from him. And then you've got Yu Gong's character, who was a resistance fighter, and his character was okay, but once again, I just didn't get as much as I wanted out of him. And so you got Kang-ho Song, who was absolutely phenomenal in this film, but no one else to really play off, and so I never felt as though I was connecting to really either side. I was really connecting just to this investigator. And when these other characters come into it, there are some emotional moments where I thought, okay, it didn't hit me as hard as I really wanted it to, and as much as I expected it to, because Kim-Jee other films, they have those very complex characters to really play off each other, but I thought that there was no one to play off Kang-ho Song's character, and so as a result of that, I just thought there was something missing. There was a little bit of emptiness within the film that didn't really capture me as much as his previous movies. So if this is a director who I'd never heard of before, I may have enjoyed it a little bit more, but considering that this guy is so good, the expectation levels and the bar was set at a very high standard, and although the movie is definitely worth seeing, I don't think it really reached those standards that I really wanted it to be, so you can't help but feel a little bit of disappointment. But in the end, as I said, that disappointment probably is not justified, because it's still a movie I'm going to recommend. But if you are a fan of Kim-Jee then I'm sure that you might think that this movie is of a lower sort of standard. So overall, definitely recommend it. It's a very, very entertaining film and something to make you think, and as a result of that, I'm going to give this movie 4 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.